is all coffee branding the same? And that's kind of a rhetorical question, because I feel like the answer is yes. So like, I guess, why is that? What is causing that? I don't know. What's the state of coffee branding?
I think it's like the typical, you do something, you want to stand out, but just like anything, if you don't make it look like if you go too far, you end up going, what is this? And having to convince people. So I feel like that's like the tough thing about coffee.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it looks the same. You're like, yeah, because then it's easier to be like, that's coffee. In that sense.
Like, I feel like a good example is like cereal. Mm-hmm. Like, all cereal boxes look the same. And you're like, well, yeah, if I got cereal in like a circle tin, I'd be like, what is this? I expect to go and find cereal in a box with bright colors, probably a mascot, some, crazy, it's got a bowl and a spoon. There's kind of a formula. And, again, if you stray too far from that, people don't know it's cereal. So it's kind of the same with coffee of like, well, you can't, how do you stand out, but also fit in with this unspoken rules of coffee branding and packaging,
Yeah. No, I think that's like the tough part, because it's like, you get too far and too creative, and now you have to pay more to educate people.
Right.
This is coffee. You should enjoy this. But I'm like, at the same time, some of my favorite coffees, like the new thing is a box. Like it used to come in a tall bag.
Yes.
Then everyone went to the short flat bottom bag.
Yep.
And then it's like reseal, not reseal. And now like you just see a lot of people moving to boxes. Mm-hmm. Some of these high-end coffees are doing like tins. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's like a fun way to go like, okay, what's different? It is interesting to get outside of the US when it comes to coffee branding, because it is like a whole nother thing. I've ordered several coffees from Japan. Yeah. And it is like so much goes into the like color of the bag. And then like the label is like, I swear sometimes it's like stapled on. Yeah. And it's like a nice card. Totally different than you'd find here, which I feel like the default. You have like, okay, like you have like the different echelons here. You have the cheap, like, not cheap. You're starting out. You can't afford a nice bag. It is going to be the tall bag with just a label. That's like 90% of your coffee in the US is micro roasters. Yeah. Black bag. Right. Glossy, giant label on it. Yep. And then it's like you upgrade to like flat bottom bags, nicer labels, matte paper.
Printed, hot stamped, whatever.
Yeah. And then you have like boxes. And when your coffee comes in a box, you're like, okay, you're getting to like the upper echelon of like boutique coffee.
Right. I feel like it's hard too, because like as someone who has, made a lot of coffee brands in boxes, it's really hard to find like non-standard coffee bags. Like there's only, I've spent hours and hours like Google searching coffee bag sizings. It's really hard to find, anything outside of the normal 12-ounce flat bottom zipper bag or like real sealable bag. It's hard to get out of there, especially like for small roasters that, you're not custom ordering a specific unique bag from a manufacturer that has a 10,000 minimum order quantity. You're not going to use those for years. So like, that's what's hard is like, especially starting out, if you're a small roaster, like a local coffee shop, the real only way is to get a blank bag and put a label on it. So like it's kind of like a little limiting of like what's out there and available. Even with a ton of like coffee roasters, coffee shops, it's still kind of like limited to just a couple different options for bags, which is kind of interesting.
I feel like we ran into the same when we first started doing a coffee shop. Everyone at the time did craft paper. And it's just all the same. Like that was literally the only option.
White bag was revolutionary. Like we did a white bag starting out like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. That was like, white bag.
Yeah. Okay. And I feel like you like slowly move it where I'm like, things are just limited. I'm like, when you, Like I remember contacting a coffee shop and being like so specific. I'm like, where'd you get the coffee sleeves that are all black? And they're like, oh, we got it here. And we called them and they're oh yeah, you need 100,000 minimum.
yeah.
And I was like, we're a small coffee shop.
That's
We're not
crazy.
ordering 100,000 coffee sleeves for our coffee cups.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, but like it's that. It's like, oh, this is why everyone uses craft paper because it's like, I can order 200. I can order 1,000.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of funny too. Like the formula is white or black bag, which again, its availability is hard to find other colored bags, and then a different colored label for the different roasts. And you go, why does every coffee shop look like that? Like if you go to whatever your local coffee shop is and they sell their own coffee, if you pay attention, you'll look, it's same bag with a logo, and then they put a different color label for each different blend. You're like, why is that? But it's like, you have to differentiate the blend somehow. So like, what's the easiest way to do that? Different color. The orange ones are Chiquizo. The blue ones are Guatemala. So it's like, how do you break out of that formula? It's like really tricky. Because it's like, we do it. This is not a criticism at all. It's just like interesting to look and see.
The box that's like you're kind of in when making it. I feel like it takes us forever to do like a branding, decide what it is. You get samples. Like I feel like we're like, do we want another sample? And it's like, you just get down to the tiniest things, like how we do like the font. Like that, if you make it too big, it just looks like cheap. And you don't know why. You just go, that just looks cheap. And it's too tiny, you can't read it. So there's like this, and then it's like too bold. Yeah. It's like there's so many little intricacies that go into a box or branding that it's kind of overwhelming.
Right.
But it's like, that's why people settle on, let's just do a white bag and then a sticker. And I feel like if you're like, where it's like fun to get creative is you got your placement of sticker, you got the size of sticker, and then it's like, you just kind of go with it. You go, okay, how are we going to do this?
Right. And I think it's easy to get stuck in the trap of like, we got to do something unique. I'm like, this looks the same as everyone else. And it's like, you kind of just have to get over that. I'm like, it is. That doesn't mean you can't still find your, own unique look and voice. But coffee bag's a cereal box is a cereal box. Soup can is a soup can.
Yeah.
Like there is a box, like metaphorically and physically, there's a box. And I feel like it's hard too, like, especially for small scale coffee roasters and companies. It's like, you probably can't afford to either hire a full-time designer or marketer or hire out a firm to do design and marketing. Because we have the benefit of, we're both full-time designers, marketers. I can't tell you how long I spent coming up with these, forever. It probably took at least a full year of tweaking, sampling, refining, getting it right. And it's still not perfect. There's still things that don't work well with it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's just so hard, especially if you don't just want to, like, not that this is overly unique, but if you don't want to just do a plain coffee bag.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and not everyone has the resources to hire that out or to do it themselves. It's a lot of work. I agree.
I feel like the thing that I liked about ours was like, there's like little things like the white on white and it's embossed. Like there's like nice little things that make it feel like expensive or like fancy. But it is interesting when you go with the mentality of, it's got to be a box or it's got to hold coffee. It's got to be identifiable. But then also like, I feel like what you start realizing is all the things that you have to, the practicality.
Yes, there's so much practicality.
Like these are not bespoke. Yeah, it's like putting the labels on, or like we have to make it easy to put a label on. And then they also have to look good on a coffee shelf. I feel like before we rebranded, we were going to try and get yellow coffee bags. Yeah. And it was like, I was like, if we get yellow coffee bags, it will stand out on a coffee shelf, because it's like, you end up seeing it on your computer screen and you go, this looks sweet. And then you multiply that and put it in your coffee shop and you go, oh, I should have done more comps. But I think that's like the tough thing. Or it's, you do one and you're like, I have to do this like 1,000 times. And that's like why you end up getting a coffee bag with a label, is you're like, oh man, that was cool for one. But I feel like we found a good balance. Like it takes time.
It takes a lot of time.
There's inside is a bag with like a card on it. And we had to search paper clips, like special clips to clip the card. I think they're like, it's like a fun idea and it makes it feel personal, but it's got that balance of our roaster and packager loved it and was like, I love how special this makes it feel. I'll go the extra mile. But honestly, it's okay if you're like, guys, we are strapped.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to make sure the coffee inside the box tastes good.
Yeah.
So focus on that. And I mean, obviously, like, you want it to be appealing enough. But if you have a, middle of the road standard bag with really good coffee, who cares?
Yeah.
Obviously, you do have to balance, because I feel like there's so much with, like, coffee roasting is, like, stigmas. Like, if I go to a coffee shop and I see, like, the tin band bags or like craft paper, I'm like, I don't know. And maybe I'm just snobby. I don't know. But I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid, stereotype. I get it. But there is, it's all that balancing of like, okay, you want to look professional, look nice, send the right message with your packaging and branding. But again, at the end of the day, have really good coffee inside of it.
No, I feel like that is a good point. It's usually like, it's interesting. The more you care about something, the more you care about the little details of something. Sure. And I feel like there's so many times I'm like, I've just had bad coffee. And then a lot of times it comes out of a craft paper bag or a glossy black tall bag. Both are just the tall ones. Mm-hmm. And it is interesting. The nicer coffees just always have nicer branding. Yeah. And I'm like, you don't need to go expensive. But if I saw a coffee brand with like an AI generated logo, I would just be like, I can tell it's AI generated. Right. You can kind of feel it out. But it's like, if you can't afford a designer, that's fine. I'm telling you, if you literally just want basic white bag and just had your roaster right in Sharpie, scan that in, and that's your coffee like you almost go the other way. It's
kind of cool vibe.
Like it is.
Yeah, you can lean into it if you don't have the funds to, hire someone out and like, just lean into that.
Yeah, just lean into the fact that you're like, we do not have the team,
the
time. We're gonna lean into the fight. It's like blank coffee. I don't care. Like roll into it. But no, it is interesting. I get kind of tired. I think it's easy when you're rebranding coffee to be like, we have to stand out.
Right. You can get caught in those. There's 2 ditches on a mile of road on both sides. It's easy to get caught in both of those ditches.
Okay, what do you like about our coffee boxes, and what would you have changed knowing that?
Our coffee boxes, I love the front. I feel like the front is cool. It's clean. It stands out. They look amazing on a shelf. You can stack them this way, and it looks good. You can see, okay, different blends, different roasts. You can stack them like this. So it's a little dual purpose. So you have a bunch, you can kind of stack them. And if you have the same label, it'll be seamless. So like, that's a really cool detail.
I didn't even notice that. I'm going to get another one real quick. I got to see this.
I like, originally when we designed it, all the text was big. It's easy to feel like you have to fill all the space on this, because you kind of get excited. You're like, I can print 360 degrees. Every spot on this box needs an element. It's exciting, but you kind of have to scale things back a little bit. So like this panel, Coffee with a Purpose, we've kind of moved on from that slogan. Yeah. So that's just like a practical thing I'd change. But the embossing details are really nice. I like how, it's got a little bit of, about us, who we are, but it's not like overly in your face. The back is just kind of cool. It has no purpose, but it's just kind of fun. Honestly, the main thing I would change is have it open easier. They kind of open a little. It's hard to get them open. Obviously, there is a label on them, but even without the label, the box, just the way it's built, it's kind of hard to get them open. So that's honestly, like, besides some, slogan changes, things like that, that's the main thing I would change.
Yeah. I feel like that is like the tough thing. Like we tried to go with this nicest box. They stack great. They keep their shape, all that. But it's like, you get to a point where you go, how much money went to the box?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's easy to for us to get like the top tier nice
Embossed.
cards, embossed, all the stuff. You just end up going, man, we got to charge our customers like $4 extra just to put it in a fancy
that's the
box.
balance. That's the ditches. That's
Those
the
are the
balance you
dishes.
gotta have.
Yeah, so we're like, let's
It's
not
tricky.
do craft paper. Let's not spend $12 on boxes. And
Yeah.
so it is like, there's always little things. The tough thing is, I feel like you just never know until you're like, we just got to order.
Well, yeah.
We just got to
and
order them and just see how they work.
It gets to a point where it's like, you know what? We can figure it out later, but we got to get it usable for now.
Yeah.
You know, that's the tricky part. I guess the only other thing is the bag inside is not resealable. I would probably change that to a sealable one, but that's relatively simple.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I spent so much time trying to, because I knew I wanted the boxes roughly this sizing. It was hard to find a bag that would fit in this box. And obviously we made the box to fit around the bags we found, but it was still hard to find bags that were a little taller, but not like this tall, you know? It was tricky. It was a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I think that's the tough part, is like going like, okay, we're not about to order full-size bags and start cutting the tops off.
Yeah.
Like you just can get crazy with it. But I'm like, I don't know. It's just a nice clean look. I always love seeing what coffee shops do. You can always tell coffee shops that like care.
Yeah. What's the coolest coffee branding that you've seen? Like, let us know in the comments. We love looking at this stuff. We just love seeing kind of the cool, unique stuff that coffee brands and roasters are doing. So, I mean, yeah, let us know. Like, we want to see it.